Hi, everybody. So we're going to continue on with our project here. We're maybe a week behind because of the baby, but that's all right. Hopefully, by now, you've decided if you're going to do the photo studio or the garden workshop. You should definitely be that far. And you should have some sense of the addition that you would like to add on to this structure. So, what I'm showing here is just an example. This is the garden workshop um, model that I gave you, and then I've added the form of the structure that I'm looking to add. I haven't detailed it out. I haven't done any of the sort of mullion work, window work, roofs, or things like that, but I at least have the form there showing me the direction that I'm looking to go. If you guys want to email me or chat me an image of what you're thinking, I would love to see where you're at. And also, I want to make sure you're moving forward. So, this week, I'm going to give you two videos. This is the first one, which is going to be all about topography and how do we get topography into the model. There's a couple ways that we can do it. The way I'm going to show you, I think, is the best way, which is using actual Google Maps data to bring in the topography information. And you can bring in some really cool stuff, and it's already formed and everything for you. So, what we need to do is sort of fit this into the landscape and make it work. So, obviously what I've modeled here is flat, perfectly flat on the bottom. And we're going to bring this down onto a topography that's undulating and moving. So how do we make these sort of talk to each other? That's going to be our goal. So that's what we'll accomplish in this first video. And then in the next video, we'll do trees and views and people. So topography is important to add because it really brings your imagery to life. You can really see that it sort of fit into the land that it's intended for whatever client you may have. If you don't have like a site or anything for a particular client, it's it's good to add anyway, just to add detail and depth and sort of photorealism in some way. Turn these on. There we go. So here's my model. So the first thing I want to do is import the topography that I'm interested. So I'm going to go up to File. I'm going to choose Geolocation, and I'm going to choose Add Location. I'm going to do that. And now this box opens up. Now, what is awesome here is if I zoom out, you might get a little window that opens here to sort of walk you through what this is, but I've passed all that already, so I'm just showing you what's in here. So what I've zoomed into here is North Milwaukee because I want to get some um, topography of the bluff before the lake, just to show you that you can bring in all kinds of interesting landforms depending on where you want to look on planet Earth. I'm going to sort of ignore the map information that comes with it, but I'll show you what I mean as we move forward. So what you're seeing here is, let me close that. There we go. Is a map of Wisconsin. Obviously, you see all these blue areas. These blue areas, you can get highly detailed map information for your model, but you have to pay extra for it. And you'll see that option as we move forward. So I just want to explain what the blue is. Everywhere else, you can grab land from anywhere on the map, and it will give you an accurate representation of the landform where you're choosing. So just to show you an exaggerated type landform, I'm going to zoom into the north shore of Milwaukee. Bayside. Let's see. Okay, so this is a popular hangout. This is a really cool park. Good swimming, good surfing, that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is do select region right here. Click that. And now it says select an imagery provider. So if I click that, it says near map or digital globe. Digital globe is free. Near map is what that blue refers to, and that's what will cost you. Be interesting to see what it imports, but I'm not going to do that for this. So I'm just going to do digital globe. And you get these 4 pins. This upper one we can't see, but I can move this around to select the amount of land that I actually want. So let's say I want my garden center or workshop area to say maybe be up on the bluff here, and then the bluff goes down to the lake. So I'm just going to choose this chunk of land, and I'm going to click import. Okay, so now it's importing, and this is what we get. We get a, at the moment, flat piece of photography, basically, that's pretty low res. So that's why if you choose the other option, you can get a high res imagery, which might be more helpful for your project. So I'm going to go up to File, Geolocation, and I'm going to click this button right here, Show Terrain. If I wanted to clear this location and get a totally different chunk of land, that's what I would do. Then I would go back in here and do what I just did again. I can always add more to the chunk of land that I got by clicking here. So I'm going to click Show Terrain, and you can see this is really an accurate representation of that area of land that I picked. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Pretty cool that it shows that kind of undulation and topography, and I didn't have to model any of that, so that looks pretty good. So what I want to do now is sort of figure out the best way to place this on the land. Now, if I look at the land, first off, it's pretty steep. This is sort of a walking path that comes down. Maybe I'm going to do it towards the top, like right up on this corner. That might be a good spot for this to live on the land, because then I could get some cool views from here, something like that. And remember, I can always add more imagery to the left. So actually, I'll add imagery now. So if this is where I want it, I might want to add some more land over here. So I'm going to go up to File, Geolocation, Add More Imagery. Okay, so this is the same region that I had before. I'm just going to go select region, do the same digital globe. This is kind of cool. Ooh, I don't want to zoom out. I'm just going to move it up so I can get more down over here. And I'm going to click import. Now this is pretty cool because it just adds it right to the piece I already had right here. Well, actually it doesn't. It makes another piece. Let me see if I delete this one. I'm going to right, it's red because it's locked. So I'm going to right click on it to unlock it and delete that one. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm actually going to unlock this, delete that. I'm going to do it one more time. Just going to get a bigger chunk of land. And I'm going to just click add more imagery. And I'm going to get something like, I'll do it that big. Maybe I'll even move this up a little bit because I kind of want that garden workshop to land somewhere in here. All right, I'll do import. Okay, this looks too big, but we can always trim it back down later if we want to, and get rid of some. But what's nice about this now is once I place my workshop up there, I could, for example, get a view like from here, and I'm going to get some cool landform in the back there. I can get a view from here and get some cool landform. But right now, let's work on like marrying this thing to the site. Now, one thing you'll know about the site or see about the site is it's all this kind of blurry photography. If you want to keep that, you can. But here's what I like to do. I just wanted to import land to sort of get this formation. I don't really care what it is I'm looking at exactly. I don't care that this is water or these are trees or anything like that. I just want to have something to approximate that cool bluff. So I'm just going to paint bucket this whole thing like a default land color. Okay, so I'm going to click on this and right click and unlock. I'm going to click in the group here. So now I'm in the land group, and I'm just going to go up to materials, and I'll just go to select. Let's see. I'm going to go to colors right now, and I'm going to go to. I'm going to pick a green color here, and I might And I'll just pick that green color and I'm just going to click the shape. So there, now it's all this like kind of default land color. That's a little intense. Maybe I'll try this. Yeah, slightly more intense. Let's do this. I'm going to grab this green again, use that, and I'm going to click new material. And I'll call this land. And I'm just going to desaturate it just a little so it's not so intense. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just a green. Okay, now that's all I wanted to do. Now I'm out of that group. Okay, so I've got this cool land formation. Let's move our project to where we want on it. Now this is going to be a little tricky, but let me just show you. I'm going to grab the move tool. All right, I'm going to grab the bottom corner here. I'm going to move it straight up. I kind of want it maybe up on the bluff over here. So I'm getting it at the right height right now because I'm locked to the blue. And then I'm going to kind of push it back. Okay. That's probably not good that it's in the earth there, but okay, I'm going to move it up again. There we go. And I'm going to move it back again. Okay. Okay, let's move it back. Just kind of move this point. Maybe I don't want it to be too steep. That's what I'm watching out for. Okay, I'm going to put it like right here. Okay, let's say that's where I want it. Yeah, that's kind of nice up on the hill like that. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on that. If it lets me, it's giving me the circle. I have some very complex planter models in here. I think that's what's causing it to be a little punchy with me. So what I'm going to do is go to my tags once it lets me, and I'll turn off uh, the the plants. In the meantime, I'm going to pause the video until I can get my computer back. Okay, we're back. Okay, so I'm going to go to the tags and turn off plants. Now it'll probably work a little nicer for me. So once you bring in complex information, it's really like the plants and this topography. Sometimes SketchUp gets a little pissy. So one thing we don't want here is all this land going in there. So how do we sort of bring these guys together? So here's what I want to do. I'm going to grab everything here except the land, and I'm going to move this up. So it's kind of floating in air. I'm just going to move it up like 10 feet, a known distance, 10 feet. Now, what I want to do is sort of make a shape that is the exact footprint of my structure. So maybe I will do something like this. I'm just going to do something at the very bottom. You see how I made a rectangle right on the bottom? Okay, there it is right there. So what I want to do, I'm going to just move it down a little bit. I want to drape that onto the surface and then remove that chunk of earth right under my building. So here's how you do that. Use a wonderful tool called the sandbox tools here. Okay, there's this tool here called drape. I'm going to click that. And it says select entities you wish to drape. It would be this whole, not this line, not this line or this line, but the whole thing. I'm going to click in the middle and then select the mesh on which you wish to drape. So this is where I'm looking. That's this guy. So I'm going to click the landform. And look what we got there. That's really helpful. That is exactly basically my site draped over perfectly onto the landform. Now I can delete this shape I have, and I can go here into here and I can delete that shape. Okay, then I can go and grab everything again, just the project, and I can move it down 10 feet and then adjust from there. So 10 feet might not be good. Maybe I need it to be a little higher. I'm going to go up another, maybe like I want this back corner to that door to sort of work with the ground there. So I'm going to do like, I'm going to move it up 2 feet. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so obviously this looks weird, right? It's floating over here, Kev. What are you thinking? So what we need to do now is sort of build a plinth that this sits on, because I've chosen to do a topography that's pretty insane here. Insane here. There we go. And what I'm going to do is make a rectangle again underneath, anywhere really. And I'm just going to bring it down like 20 feet. I've just made a shape, and I'm just going to bring it over to there. Bring it over there. And the back of it, bring over to there. So I sort of made a concrete foundation, if you will, that this thing sits on. Now, one thing I noticed in my model is I have a floor in here and a floor in there. So I'm going to group that piece that I made. I'm going to go into these, where I'm going to delete that floor in here. I'm going to delete the floor here. And then I'm going to move everything down onto the new floor that I made. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So maybe there's something like for example, something like a railing might live here. Railings, these might be garage doors, but they might have railings in front of them so that they can open and get some fresh air. Or you can adjust this so that maybe we rotate the structure, push it back a little, and try to get this flat with the ground too. It just depends on how you want to site it. So that's your choice. So this looks pretty good to me. Yes? Okay. Sounds like my kid is up. So 1 second. Okay. So on further review, I think what I want to do here is actually bring this out even further. So I'm going to go into that group, and I'm going to pull this out 5 feet, pull this side out 5 feet, pull this side out 5 feet. So I have a nice area maybe to walk around this whole structure, and this will be like a retaining wall beneath, or a retaining foundation wall. I apologize if you're hearing beeping in the background, but we've had construction here for like months. So, okay, that looks okay, but this looks a little goofy back here. So I want to be able to change that. So what I want to do is make another drape, because I've made this bigger now. So the first drape kind of went around these two buildings tight to it, but now I've made that bigger. So what I'm going to do is go in here, and I'm going to copy this rectangle on top. Control C. And I'm going to go ahead and do edit, paste in place. And I'm going to move it straight up. There we go. And now I can drape that onto this shape. So here's what I'll do. I'll go up to Tools, Sandbox, Drape. Grab that. Grab this shape here. And there it's draped. Now I can delete this. Go back into my land shape. Select that land and delete it. You can do that as many times as you want. Like maybe as you kind of are modeling it, you're like, oh, that doesn't look right. I want to change that again. So I can tell right now, like, I actually think I should pull this back 5 feet because I didn't do that. Do that real quick. Same technique. I'm actually making it bigger. I'm push pulling. Go underneath this. I want to go 5 feet back. Okay, now I'm going to grab that top rectangle, copy it, edit, paste in place. I'm going to move it straight up. And I'm going to drape it again. Tools, Sandbox, Drape. Oop. Tools, Sandbox, Drape. Bam, bam. Ugh. I did it backwards. I had something selected, I believe, beforehand. Let's see. Do I? Tools, sandbox, drape. There. I'll go back in here, delete that shape, that line. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let me explain what we did there. We cut that piece of earth out. Here, the ground foundation is poking above the earth, but back here, it's dipping below the earth. So we would need some sort of retaining structure back here for a little bit, for at least this much, and a railing on this end so you don't fall off. So I'm just going to make a quick shape in here just to show you how you could do that. I'm going to go onto this foundation and I'll offset it 1 foot. Ooh, that looks pretty big. Let's do 8 inches. Oh, that's good. And I'm going to pull this up 3 feet. No. Okay. That would work as a retaining wall back here and a railing over here. And now this thing is sort of sighted and in position. Obviously, I have to make a way to sort of get through here. Maybe there's a break in the wall here and the sort of trail might come down or something like that. But that's kind of cool for now. So I have this really cool structure that is kind of built into the land, and I could get some really nice shots. Turn on my shadows here. Let's move these shadows around. There we go. So I can get some nice shots. Like this would be kind of cool looking up at it. This would be a nice shot here. Even from the rear here would be cool. And maybe like a shot in here. That's starting to look like an interesting space, looking out over into the horizon there. Okay, so just to review what we did here is we imported topography. We've made shapes to sort of drape on that topography and cut out different sections of it and provided a plinth or foundation to sort of place our project. So, what I want you to do this week is import some topography, place your project in there. It can be your project can be in the form that mine is here, just this concept volume on the right. Um, but let's start getting it into a site. And then from here, we're going to add trees and people. Now, I can tell you just by looking at this, I think one thing that I would want to do, so the bluff drops away here, I might want to make this more of a like a space in front. So maybe this comes out like 10 more feet and and then it has a sort of area out in front here for people to work or whatever for the garden center. So that is topography. Let me know how this all sits with you, and please chat me up if you're having issues. But I really like to see your projects, so please send me some progress shots on chat and let me know how you're doing. Okay, stay tuned for the next trees and people video.